Hello and welcome back to another video. I take it quite a few of you are out there enjoying your touring holidays since we were able to go out again from the 4th of July 2020. Caravanners, motorhomers, tenters, all out there enjoying yourselves. We'll be going out soon. I'll be doing a video on that and posting it. But in today's video I'll be fitting this USB module and I'll be taking the power from this 12 volt socket. Now if you watch my video where I wired the 12 volt socket, you'll know I purchased this TV and 12 volt socket unit. I used the wiring fly lead off this to wire this up, and if you recall I said I wanted this bezel here for a future project. Well, this is the future project. I've got my wiring. The white is ground, yellow is live. I've got my back box and the pattress. And here I've got wiring loom tape. And what I'll be doing is taping these together so they look like a factory wiring harness. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is run the wiring from the 12 volt socket down along under the bench and back up to a point in this pillar here. So the USB module will be going there. The reason I want to put it there is because on this side we've got the single socket that was fitted at the factory. That's how it came as standard. So I want in the single socket and the single pattress that side so it balances the sides up. Need to take a few measurements. On the new pattress the lip is 4mm, so measuring up 165 up, 4mm in, 15mm in sideways, 15 in, 165 up to the cut lines. So on this side we're going to measure 15mm in, that's my vertical line, and need to measure the width, 94 on the line and draw around it. I'll rub off the bit of line that I don't want. Before I cut this hole out, I need to check to see if there's any wiring behind here. I'll have a look inside the side locker. Need a bit of light in here. There's a cable there. That goes behind that panel. Take this trim off. Looks like it goes under this tray. And through there under the bench, so that's the route for my cable. To cut the hole out I'm going to use the multi-tool. I've not had this long. It's a brilliant piece of kit. You get all different types of blades. All you need to do is pull that lever back and slot the blade in and let go, and that's in place. And it's variable speed, light on the end. You can get a wood cutting blade, metal cutting blade, scrapers, grout removal tool. Yeah, I'm pleased I bought it. The good thing about this is I can be careful here because I know there's a cable behind there, and being careful with this means I'm not going to go too far beyond the thickness of the board. That's the cable. It's actually PVC board with print on the front. Needs trimming a little bit. In fact, I might do that with the file. I'll take all the burrs off the edges. Perfect. I've measured the route the cable will take and it's just under 5 metres, so if I cut 5 metres off these, it should be just right. That's 5. Just give myself a little bit of extra about there. What I've got to start doing now is taping the 2 wires together using the loom tape. You need 2 pair of hands to do this. I've got to tie the other end of the wire down there so I can pull it taut to wrap the loom tape around. It's better off using loom tape because it's soft and it's not got adhesive on it. It's the best material for the job. Finally got to the end. There we go, made my own wiring harness. What I'm going to do is push the draw tape through from the locker and then tape the wire onto the end of it and pull it through. What I can do now is tape the wire onto the end of it. Trying to get this cable through without having to take this tray out of the locker. Ah, it's through. That saved a lot of work. I'll try and get it through this hole up to the USB point. Let's see if I can grab hold of it. Yeah, there it is. There we go. What I'll do now is run the wiring along the route of the factory wiring. So I'll pull these clips up. I'll run it along here under this second clip. Thread it through the original wiring clips. Go. Next, it's the case of getting access under this unit to get the wiring through. So move the bench cushions. Take this cover off. Take the module out. You remember from my video wiring this socket up, I drilled a 16mm diameter hole in the worktop to allow for any future additional wiring, and this is where drilling the oversized hole comes in handy. Next, I'm going to thread this draw line through this hole in the worktop and grab it under here so I can tape the new wiring onto it and pull it through. That was a bit fiddly trying to get that through. That's the cable routing complete. Making the connections next at either end. The access cover can go back. Screw caps back on. Right, we're back at the USB position. I'm going to use this furniture touch-up marker pen. Perfect match, just to cover those marks up. I know it's going to be covered with this lip, but I know it's it looks right underneath. Right, the next job is to put the pattress in. And now the back box. With this back box comes these two cams, and what these cams do is hold this pattress in place. So I'll just take it back out. You've got 3 grooves, and these little pins here fit in the grooves, and what you do is push it into the groove, push the pattress in and turn the cam, and it clamps to the back of the panel. The reason there are 3 grooves is because it depends on how thick the panel is that you're fitting it to. Put the pattress back in. In this case, I'll be using the back groove. Yeah. So now I'll knock one of these wiring knockouts out and push the wiring through. And what I do now is push the back box into the pattress, and the back box clips onto these little lugs on the sides, and they stop the back box coming forward, and also they hold these 2 cams in place. It's looking something like now. Now, coming back to this socket unit, I've got to take these screw caps off. Screws out. Because I want this bezel, I need to take this C-line unit out of the middle aperture, so take the 4 screws out. We need these 4 screws on clips, like that. What I'm going to do now is get the USB module. That's clipped in place. So that's the back of it and the front of it. Put the 4 tiny screws back in. That's 4 screws in, holding the module in, the C-line module. I'm going to try using these ferrules. This wire is 1.5mm, so I'm going to need that one there, 1.5. So that's the black one, so I need 2 of those. Ferrules are for stranded wire. When you put a stranded wire into a terminal and tighten the screw up, the screw may only be making contact to a certain number of strands. The idea of a ferrule is that you put the whole group of strands into the ferrule tube, crimp it on, and when you put the ferrule into the terminal and tighten the screw up, there's one single point of contact. I suppose it's the same as tinning the ends with solder. Strip the wire. What happens is you push the wire into the ferrule. I can see the wire inside the tube there. Make sure it's well on. And then we use the crimping tool. What that does, it crimps the tube onto the stranded wire. And that's really tight. Do the same with the other. Twist that on. Yeah, I can see the wires just in the end there. Place it in the crimp tool. You can see how that's crimped. We'll get the USB module. The terminals are marked positive and negative. So put the yellow in the positive side. The ground in the negative side. I think that looks a very neat finish. So I'll curl the wire around. Put the screws in. Screw caps on. Marvellous job. Right, before I disconnect the wiring from the back of this 12-volt socket, I need to isolate the power supply. And to do that, I go into the fuse panel and I take out the auxiliary socket fuse. Back up at the socket, I need to put the heat shrink over each wire. I've got the white wire stripped, so I need to strip the yellow one. And we're going to use these piggyback connectors. And we'll crimp these on. With the terminal crimping tool. So we use the blue jaw because we're using the blue connectors. the other one on. Slide the heat shrink over the bare terminals. And we'll have to disconnect the socket. The 12 volt socket has also got plus and negative marked on the back. This side's the negative, so push the piggyback connector onto that. Put the original wires onto the piggyback terminals. That's a little bit loose, so tighten it up. Tighten this one up a bit. Now you can see why I used yellow and white wiring, because the white is always ground and the yellow is live for the auxiliary socket, so it all matches in. Fuse back in. Check for power. Yeah, the green LED is on, so that's okay. Put the cover back on. I can tell the new USB socket is receiving power because there's a faint blue glow inside the socket itself. Come and have a look. I'll turn the light off so you can see it better. The plug adapter that came with the iPad has an output of 2.4 amps. Very difficult to see because it's light grey text on a white background. So 2.4 amp output, and the one that came with the phone is a 1 amp output. So I'll plug this in to the 2.1 amp. We have power, and if we wanted to charge the phone, we'll plug this into the 1 amp output, like that. Come and have a closer look at the markings on the socket. Both 5 volt output. Top one's a 1 amp output and the bottom one's 2.1 amp output. We can now use the iPad sat at the table and the charging cable is out of the way. I've got a good top tip for everybody. How often do you try plugging in a USB cable and you think, oh, I've got it the wrong way round? So you turn it round and it goes in. Well, here's the tip. USB plugs have the USB symbol on them. And what you need to do is make sure the symbol faces you when you plug it in. This is the adapter for the iPad. And imagine that's plugged in. So you're facing the symbol and you plug it straight in. This is the adapter for the phone. The USB socket's underneath. Imagine that's plugged into a main socket. Straight in. Same with this C-line system. Straight in. And with laptops, you generally have them on the tabletop, so you're looking down at them, and I'm looking at the symbol. Straight in. And I suspect these USB sockets in the reading lights that you have in the Caravan or motorhome, because they're above you and you're looking up, you need to be looking up at the symbol on the plug, and they will plug straight in. And that's my top tip for the day. This cable that came with the iPad, it's about 4 years old, probably a bit older actually. Where the lightning connector is, it's splitting. And you can see the screen wire showing. I'm going to do a quick repair on that and I'll show you how I do it. I've got some white heat shrink, so I'm going to say cut it off there. Push it over the lightning connector. There, like that. And that should be good for another few years. And because it's white heat shrink, it looks like it's part of the cable. This is a 2013 Caravan, manufactured before USB sockets became standard. Now that I've got a convenience of 2 USB sockets here behind me, I've actually freed up a 3-pin main socket where I don't have to carry the adapter anymore. So to summarise, I've used the C-line system and the patras to match the others in the Caravan. The wiring is colour coded to match the factory wiring. The wiring is routed along the factory wiring route. I've used piggyback connectors at the 12-volt socket so I don't have to cut anything. I've used the black heat shrink on the piggyback connectors to give it more of a professional look. And it's taken off the auxiliary socket circuit just like a caravan or motorhome manufacturer would do if they were fitting USB sockets separate from any lighting circuit. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. Well, I'm going to put the tools away, have a tidy up, and I'll see you next time.